Dr. Taewon Kim could not stop his hands from shaking as he packed his equipment. After 15 years studying how the human brain behaved during sleep, he never imagined his research would make him important enough to meet aliens. 2 hours. Until departure, Dr. Kim, said the voice over the speaker. Please report to the shuttle bay when ready. Taewon looked around his lab one last time. The brain scan machines and sleep monitoring equipment seemed small and simple now. What would the aliens think of such basic tools? Would they laugh at how little humans knew? He picked up his bag and walked toward the elevator. The hallways of the research center were almost empty. Most staff had gone to watch the shuttle launch from the observation deck. Taewon preferred to be alone with his thoughts. 3 weeks ago, the Aurelian mothership had appeared in Earth's orbit. The massive vessel, shaped like a smooth oval with no visible engines, had caused panic at first, but the aliens had sent peaceful messages. They wanted to talk. They wanted to learn. And now, Taewon was going to meet them. The shuttle was small but comfortable. 5 other scientists sat quietly, each lost in their own thoughts. Across from Taewon sat Dr. Ha Yoon Park, a neurologist he had worked with before. She gave him a nervous smile. "Can you believe this is happening?" she asked. Taewon shook his head. "I keep thinking I will wake up and find this was all a dream." "Ironic," said Ha-eun, "considering we are going to meet beings who never dream." That was the most fascinating thing about the Aurelians. From the information they had shared, their species did not sleep. Their minds worked continuously, processing information day and night. The concept of dreaming was completely foreign to them. The shuttle lifted off smoothly. Through the window, Taewon watched Earth grow smaller. The blue planet looked peaceful from space, hiding all the chaos and excitement happening on the surface since the aliens arrived. After 2 hours of flight, Taewon saw it. The Aurelian mothership was enormous, at least 20 times larger than the biggest human space station. Its surface shimmered with a soft blue light that seemed to pulse gently. "Prepare for docking," said the pilot. Taewon felt his stomach tighten. This was real. He was about to meet beings from another world. The docking procedure was quick and smooth. When the shuttle door opened, Taewon expected strange smells or different air, but it felt normal. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth, making him feel as if he might float away if he moved too quickly. A tall human officer greeted them. "Welcome aboard. I am Captain Suho Kang. I have been here for 1 week already. The Aurelians are waiting in the meeting room. Please follow me." They walked through curved hallways with soft lighting. The walls seemed to be made of a material that was both metal and fabric at the same time. It responded to touch, becoming firmer when pressed. The meeting room was large and circular. Around a table that looked like flowing water frozen in time sat 3 Aurelians. Taewon tried not to stare, but it was impossible not to. The aliens were tall and thin, with long limbs that bent at extra joints. Their skin was pale blue with patterns that shifted and changed like oil on water. They had no hair, and their faces featured large, dark eyes with no visible pupils. Where a human would have a nose, they had small slits, and their mouths were small and rarely moved when they spoke. "Welcome," said one Aurelian. The voice came not from its mouth but seemed to form directly in Taewon's mind. "I am Nev, ambassador to Earth. These are my associates, Lim and Dor." Captain Kang made introductions. When he came to Taewon, Nev's head tilted slightly. "Dr. Kim, your research on sleep patterns is particularly interesting to us. Our species does not require sleep. The concept of dreaming is one we find both fascinating and strange." Taewon cleared his throat. "The feeling is mutual. I never imagined meeting beings who never rest. How does your brain process memories and emotions without sleep?" "Our minds work differently," said Nev. "We process continuously. What you do in sleep, we do while conscious. This is why we wish to meet with human sleep scientists. Your experience is unique in the 12 intelligent species we have encountered so far." The meeting continued for hours. Taewon learned that the Aurelians had been observing Earth from a distance for nearly 50 years. They had studied human broadcasts, learned languages, and watched as humans developed technology. We wait until a species reaches a certain technological level before making contact, explained Nev. Your recent advances in quantum communication made this the right time. As they talked, alarms suddenly blared. The Aurelians moved quickly, touching panels on the walls that Taiwan had not even noticed. There is a problem, said Nev. A solar flare much larger than predicted is heading toward us. The radiation will make travel between ships dangerous for at least 14 days. Captain Kang looked concerned. Our shuttle was supposed to return today with the next group of scientists. That will not be possible, said Nev. You must all remain aboard our vessel until the solar activity decreases. We have sufficient room and supplies. This is unexpected but not a problem. And so it was decided. The human delegation would stay on the alien ship for 2 weeks. Taiwan felt both nervous and excited. This was a chance to learn much more than planned. The Aurelians provided quarters for the humans. Due to limited space designed for human comfort, they needed to share rooms. Taiwan was surprised when Nev approached him personally. Dr. Kim, I would be honored if you would share my quarters. I have volunteered to be a research subject for your sleep studies. My species is curious about this part of human life. You can monitor me while you sleep to see if proximity has any effect. Taiwan could hardly believe his luck. I would be honored, Nev, but where will you rest if you do not sleep? Nev made a sound that might have been a laugh. I will work as always. Our quarters have a research station where I can continue my duties while you sleep. Perhaps I can learn by observation what I cannot experience myself. That night, in the strange room with walls that changed color to match his mood, Taiwan set up his monitoring equipment. Nev watched with obvious curiosity. The brain is active during sleep, Taiwan explained, especially during dreams. We process emotions, solve problems, and strengthen memories. It seems inefficient, said Nev, to spend 1/3 of your life unconscious. Perhaps, said Taiwan, but we have evolved this way for a reason. Dreams have inspired our greatest art, solutions to difficult problems, and helped us process trauma. What does your species do instead? Nev seemed to consider this. We process continuously, but perhaps we miss something by never experiencing what you call dreams. I find it fascinating that you create entire worlds in your mind while unconscious. As Taiwan prepared for sleep, he felt strange knowing Nev would watch him all night. But his scientific curiosity was stronger than his discomfort. Good night, Nev, he said as he lay down on the bed that shaped itself to his body. Rest well, Dr. Kim, replied Nev, sitting at a console nearby. Perhaps tomorrow you can tell me what worlds your mind created while you slept. Taiwan closed his eyes, thinking about how strange life had become. 3 weeks ago, he was just a sleep researcher in a lab in Seoul. Now he was falling asleep in an alien spacecraft, with a being from another world watching over him. His last thought before sleep took him was a question. What would it be like to never dream? He had no way of knowing that soon Nev would find out. Taiwan woke to the soft sound of Nev moving around the room. 3 days had passed since the solar flare trapped them on the alien ship, and he was beginning to settle into a routine. The Aurelian was always working when Taiwan fell asleep and still working when he woke up. Good morning, Nev, Taiwan said, stretching. The alien bed had shaped itself to his body perfectly during the night, but he still felt strange sleeping while being watched. Good morning, Dr. Kim. Your sleep patterns last night were different than before. Your brain activity showed more rapid cycles. Taiwan sat up, interested. You were monitoring my brain waves? With your permission, yes. I hope you do not mind. I am fascinated by the changes I observe each night. Your mind creates such complex patterns while unconscious. Taiwan smiled. This was exactly the kind of data he hoped to collect, but from the opposite direction. Not at all. That is what we are here for. Can you show me the readings? Nev moved to a wall panel that lit up at his touch. Charts and graphs appeared, showing brainwave patterns that looked familiar to Taiwan, but there was something else on the display. A second set of readings in a different color. What are these? Taewon pointed to the second pattern. Nev hesitated. Those are my neural patterns. I have been monitoring myself as well, to see if observing human sleep affects my brain function. Taewon studied the charts. The patterns were strange, unlike anything he had seen before. But what caught his attention was how they seemed to mirror his own brain waves at certain points during the night. Nev, your brain activity changed while I was sleeping. Look here. Taewon pointed to a section where the alien's patterns became more rhythmic. This almost looks like you entered a different state of consciousness. I noticed this as well, said Nev. I experienced something unusual. My thoughts became less organized. I found myself processing information in a way that felt random and illogical. It was disturbing. Taewon felt excitement building. Can you describe exactly what happened? During your deepest sleep phases, my mind began to wander. I thought about memories that had no connection to my current work. I experienced sensations that were not real. At one point, I felt as if I were somewhere else entirely. Nev, I think you might have experienced something similar to human sleep. Maybe even the beginning stages of dreaming. The alien stepped back from the console. That is impossible. Aurelians do not sleep. Our brains are not designed for such states. But you were in close proximity to a sleeping human brain. What if human sleep patterns can somehow influence alien neurology? What if dreams are more than just brain activity? What if they are something that can be transmitted? Nev made the sound that might have been laughter, but it seemed nervous. Dr. Kim, that suggests a level of neural connection that should not be possible between different species. Should not be, but maybe it is, Taewon said. We need to test this properly. Can you contact Dr. Park? I need her help with this. An hour later, Dr. Ha-Yoon Park arrived at their quarters with her own monitoring equipment. She looked tired but excited when Taewon explained what they had discovered. You think human dreams can affect alien brains? She asked. That is incredible. But how would that work? I do not know yet, said Taewon. But look at these readings. Nev's brain patterns definitely changed while I was in REM sleep. Ha-Yoon studied the data carefully. This is fascinating. Nev, can you describe the sensations you experience? Nev seemed uncomfortable discussing it. It was confusing. My thoughts became unclear. I experienced images and sensations that had no basis in reality. I felt emotions that were not connected to logical thoughts. That sounds exactly like dreaming, said Ha-Yoon. Taewon, we need to run more tests. This could be the most important discovery in neuroscience history. They spent the next 2 days setting up more detailed monitoring equipment. Ha-Yoon worked with the ship's other scientists to scan for any unusual energy patterns or neural emissions that might explain the phenomenon. On the third night of testing, something even stranger happened. Taewon woke in the middle of the night to find Nev standing very still near the window. The alien's skin patterns were moving rapidly, changing colors in ways Taewon had never seen before. Nev, are you all right? The alien turned slowly. Dr. Kim, something very unusual has happened. I believe I lost consciousness for a period of time. Taewon sat up quickly. You fell asleep? I think so. And while unconscious, I experienced something extraordinary. I saw images, felt sensations, lived through events that were not real but felt completely true. You dreamed, said Taewon softly. I dreamed, Nev repeated. And it was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Taewon activated the recording equipment. Tell me everything you remember. Nev moved closer, his skin patterns still shifting rapidly. I was in a place I had never seen. There were large plants reaching toward a bright star. The air moved around me, carrying scents that I recognized but could not name. I felt warmth on my skin in a way that was different from our ship's heating systems. That sounds like Earth. Like being in a forest with wind and sunlight. But I have never been to Earth. How could I dream of things I have never experienced? Taewon felt a chill run down his spine. What else do you remember? I felt emotions that were not my own. Sadness for someone I had never met. Joy about achievements that were not mine. Love for beings I do not know. The emotions were so strong, Dr. Kim. I understand now why you call dreams both wonderful and frightening. Ha-Yun arrived quickly when Tae-Wan called her. She examined the overnight recordings with growing amazement. This is impossible, she said. Nev's brain patterns during the sleep episode match human dream states almost exactly. But more than that, some of his neural activity mirrors patterns we recorded from Taiwan's dreams over the past few days. What does that mean? Asked Nev. It means you did not just learn to dream. You shared Taiwan's dreams. Somehow you experienced his memories, his emotions, his subconscious thoughts. Taiwan stared at the data. Are you saying our minds connected? While we slept? The evidence suggests something like that. During your REM sleep, Taiwan, certain brainwave patterns seem to have influenced Nev's neural activity. Over several nights, this influence grew stronger until Nev's brain began to mimic human sleep patterns. Nev was quiet for a long moment. This explains the emotions I felt. The love and sadness were not mine. They belonged to Dr. Kim. This is incredible, said Ha-Yun. We need to inform the other scientists immediately. This discovery could change everything we know about consciousness and neural communication. But before they could contact anyone, an urgent message came through the ship's communication system. It was from the Aurelian High Command. Ambassador Nev, report to the command center immediately. We have detected unusual neural activity in your section of the ship. There are concerns about alien influence on Aurelian brain function. Nev looked at Tae-Wan and Ha-Yun. They know something has changed. Our scientists monitor all crew members constantly for health and safety. What will you tell them? Asked Tae-Wan. The truth, said Nev, that I have experienced something new, that I have learned what it means to dream. As Nev prepared to leave, he turned back to Tae-Wan. Dr. Kim, thank you for sharing your dreams with me. Even if I do not fully understand what happened, I know it was important. After Nev left, Tae-Wan and Ha-Yun sat in silence, looking at the brain scan data. What have we done? Asked Ha-Yun quietly. We have discovered that dreams are more powerful than we ever imagined, said Tae-Wan. But I am not sure if that is a good thing or a dangerous thing. Through the window, they could see the solar flares still dancing around their ship. They were trapped here for several more days at least. And now, they had accidentally taught an alien species how to dream. Tae-Wan wondered what would happen when other Aurelians learned about this discovery. Would they see it as a wonderful new experience or as a threat to their way of life? He was about to find out. Nev had been gone for 3 hours. Tae-Wan paced around their shared quarters while Ha-Yun worked on analyzing the brain scan data from the night before. The silence was broken only by the soft hum of the ship's systems and the occasional beep from Ha-Yun's equipment. I should have gone with him, Tae-Wan said for the 4th time. They would not have allowed it, Ha-Yun replied without looking up from her screens. This is an internal Aurelian matter now. But we caused this. Nev trusted us, and now he might be in trouble because of our research. Ha-Yun finally turned to face him. Tae-Wan, what we discovered is extraordinary. Nev experienced something his species has never known. That is not a small thing. Before Tae-Wan could respond, the door to their quarters opened. Nev entered, but he moved differently than before. His usual straight posture was slightly bent, and his skin patterns were moving in slow, uncertain waves. Nev, what happened? Are you all right? The alien moved to his workstation but did not sit down. The High Command is concerned. They believe human proximity may be causing harmful changes to Aurelian brain function. They have ordered all humans to be moved to separate quarters, far from any Aurelian crew members. Tae-Wan felt his heart sink. When? Tomorrow morning. But there is more. They want to end the cultural exchange early. As soon as the solar flare activity decreases, all humans will be returned to Earth. But our research, protested Ha-Yun. We are just beginning to understand what is happening. Nev's skin patterns shifted to darker colors. That is exactly what they fear. They do not want to understand it. They see dreaming as a loss of mental control, a weakness that could spread through our people. Did you tell them how you felt when you dreamed? Asked Tae-Wan. I tried. But how do you explain color to those who have never seen? How do you describe music to the deaf? They have no reference for the emotions I experienced. A loud rumble shook the ship, followed by flashing lights. The ship's communication system activated. All crew members, the solar flare activity has increased beyond predicted levels. All sections of the ship are now under lockdown. No movement between quarters is permitted until further notice. This restriction will remain in place for a minimum of 18 hours. Taewon looked at Nev. 18 hours locked in together. Yes, said Nev quietly. One more night before we are separated forever. Haun gathered her equipment. Then we should make the most of it. Nev, are you willing to sleep again tonight? To dream? Nev was quiet for a long moment. The High Command specifically ordered me not to allow further human influence on my neural patterns. And what do you want? Asked Taewon. I want to dream again, Nev said softly. In that brief time when I was unconscious, I experienced more depth of feeling than in my entire previous existence. But I am also afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of what I might become. Afraid of losing who I am. But more afraid of never feeling that way again. That evening, they prepared for what might be their last experiment together. Ha-yeon set up monitoring equipment while Taewon arranged his sleeping area closer to Nev's workstation than before. If human dreams can transfer to you, Taewon said, maybe the closer proximity will make the connection stronger. What if something goes wrong? Asked Nev. What if the neural connection becomes too strong? Then we will deal with it together, said Ha-eun. Science always involves some risk. As Taewon prepared for sleep, he noticed Nev seemed more nervous than usual. The alien's skin patterns were shifting rapidly between different colors. Nev, are you sure you want to do this? I am sure, Nev replied. Tonight may be my only chance to experience dreams again. I do not want to waste it. Taewon lay down on his bed and tried to relax. But knowing this might be their last night together made sleep difficult. He thought about his life on Earth, his family, his research, and his growing friendship with this alien being who was so different yet becoming so similar. Gradually, sleep took him. His dreams that night were intense and vivid. He dreamed of his childhood home in Seoul, of his parents teaching him to read, of his first day at university. He dreamed of loneliness and friendship, of discoveries and failures, of love and loss. But something was different about these dreams. They felt shared, as if someone else was experiencing them alongside him. The emotions seemed stronger, the images more clear, the connections between memories more meaningful. Hours passed in this shared dream state. Taewon experienced not just his own memories but something else. Visions of a world with purple skies and silver trees. Sensations of moving through space without a ship. Feelings of unity with others that was deeper than human friendship. He began to realize he was not just sharing his dreams with Nev. Nev was sharing memories with him. Taewon woke to the sound of something he had never heard before on the Aurelian. Ship crying. He sat up quickly and saw Nev standing by the window looking out at the swirling solar flares. Clear liquid was flowing from the alien's eyes, dripping onto the floor. Nev. The alien turned toward him, and Taewon was shocked by what he saw. Nev's face, normally calm and expressionless, was filled with emotion. Joy, sadness, wonder, and fear all mixed together. Dr. Kim, I understand now why humans value dreaming so much. I experienced your life, your memories, your feelings, but more than that, I felt what it means to be you. Taewon stood up slowly. I think I experienced some of your memories too. Your world, your people, your way of thinking. Yes, said Nev, wiping the moisture from his eyes with movements that seemed very human. We shared more than dreams. We shared ourselves. Ha-eun woke up at the sound of their voices. When she saw Nev crying, she moved quickly to her monitoring equipment. The neural activity readings are incredible, she said. Both of your brain patterns synchronized completely for over 4 hours. I have never seen anything like this. What does it mean? Asked Nev. It means you did not just learn to dream, said Ha-eun. You learned to feel, really feel. the way humans feel. Nev walked over to Taiwan. In your dreams, I experienced the love you feel for your family, the sadness you felt when your grandfather died, the joy you felt when you made your first scientific discovery. These emotions are so powerful, so overwhelming. And I felt what it is like to be part of your collective consciousness, said Taiwan, the way your species shares knowledge and purpose. It was beautiful, but also lonely in a different way. Lonely? You are all connected, but you do not have individual emotional bonds the way humans do. No love, no personal relationships, no individual dreams or hopes. Nev nodded slowly. Yes, I see that now. We have unity, but no intimacy. We have purpose, but no passion. We have knowledge, but no wonder. The ship's communication system crackled to life again. Attention! The lockdown will be lifted in 2 hours. All crew members must report to their assigned stations immediately afterward. Nev's skin patterns darkened. They will separate us now. I will be questioned about what happened tonight. They will know I disobeyed orders. What will you tell them? Asked Taiwan. I will tell them that I learned what it means to be truly alive, said Nev, and that some experiences are worth any consequence. Ha-Yun looked up from her equipment. Nev, the changes in your brain patterns are permanent. You will not go back to the way you were before. You have gained the ability to feel emotions the way humans do. Is that good or bad? Asked Nev. That depends, said Taiwan. How do you feel about it? Nev was quiet for a moment, then made the sound that might have been laughter, but this time it sounded more human, more genuine. I feel wonderful and terrible and excited and afraid all at the same time. Is this normal for humans? Very normal, said Taiwan, smiling. Welcome to having emotions, Nev. As they waited for the lockdown to end, Taiwan realized their simple research project had become something much bigger. They had not just studied dreams. They had created a bridge between two completely different forms of consciousness. But as the time to separate grew closer, Taiwan wondered if this bridge would be seen as a wonderful discovery or a dangerous threat. Soon, they would find out. The lockdown ended at exactly 800 ship time. Taiwan watched through their quarters window as Aurelian crew members moved through the hallways with their usual precise movements. But something seemed different about them today. Some moved more. Slowly, others paused at intersections as if confused about where they were going. They are coming for me soon, said Nev, gathering data tablets from his workstation. His skin patterns had settled into steady blue and silver waves, but Taiwan could see flashes of other colors appearing and disappearing quickly. What will happen to you? I will be questioned by the Science Council. They will want to understand what has changed in my neural patterns. Then the High Command will decide if I am still fit for duty. Ha-Un looked up from packing her equipment. What does unfit for duty mean for an Aurelian? Isolation, said Nev simply. Those who cannot function normally are separated from the crew until they can be returned to proper mental state. But I do not think they can undo what has happened to me. Before anyone could respond, the door opened. 3 Aurelians entered, moving with formal precision. Taiwan recognized one of them as Lim, who had been present at their first meeting. Ambassador Nev, you will come with us now, said Lim. Dr. Kim and Dr. Park, you will be escorted to new quarters in Section 7. You will have no further contact with Aurelian crew members. As Nev walked toward the door, he turned back to Taiwan. Thank you for showing me how to dream. Thank you for sharing your dreams with me, Taiwan replied. After Nev left, 2 different Aurelians escorted Taiwan and Ha-Un through the ship's corridors to their new quarters. The rooms were smaller and clearly designed to keep them isolated from the rest of the crew. This feels like a prison, said Ha-Un once they were alone. Can you blame them? Asked Taiwan. We accidentally changed their ambassador in ways they do not understand. From their perspective, we might be dangerous. For 2 days, they remained in isolation. Food was delivered by automated systems, and they had no contact with any Aurelians. Taiwan spent most of his time reviewing the brain scan data from their experiments, trying to understand exactly what had happened. On the 3rd day, something changed. Taewon was woken in the middle of his sleep cycle by urgent voices in the hallway. Through the small window in their door, he could see Aurelian crew members moving with unusual haste. Some of them were stumbling, walking into walls or stopping suddenly as if lost. Ha-eun, wake up! Something is happening. She joined him at the window. As they watched, an Aurelian fell to the floor unconscious. Other crew members gathered around, their skin patterns flashing in rapid, chaotic colors. Are they getting sick? Asked Ha-eun. Before Taewon could answer, their door opened. Captain Suho Kang entered, followed by Jiho Baek, the linguist from their original group. Thank goodness you are both safe, said Captain Kang. The ship is in chaos. Something is spreading through the Aurelian crew. What kind of something? Asked Taewon. Sleep, said Jiho. They are falling asleep all over the ship. And when they wake up, they are different. Taewon felt his heart racing. Different how? Emotional, confused. Some of them are crying, others are laughing. A few have locked themselves in their quarters and refuse to come out. Ha-eun grabbed Taewon's arm. The neural connection. It is spreading. But how is that possible? Asked Captain Kang. You only worked with one alien. Aurelians share a collective consciousness to some degree, said Taewon. If Nev's brain patterns changed, and if those changes can be transmitted through their neural network, you mean one dreaming alien could teach others to dream? Asked Jiho. It looks like that is exactly what happened. Captain Kang activated his communication device. The Aurelian High Command has requested our help. They want to speak with you immediately. 20 minutes later, Taewon and Ha-eun found themselves in the main command center of the ship. The room was in chaos. Half of the Aurelian crew members were unconscious at their stations. Others moved around with jerky, uncertain movements, their skin patterns flashing in ways Taewon had never seen before. At the center of the room stood 3 Aurelians he did not recognize. Their movements were precise and controlled, but their skin patterns showed stress markers. Dr. Kim, said the tallest one, I am Council Leader Mev. We require your assistance to understand what has happened to our crew. Where is Nev? Asked Taewon. Ambassador Nev is unconscious and has been for 36 hours. When he wakes, he experiences intense emotional episodes that render him unable to function. But that is not our primary concern now. Miv led them to a monitoring station showing brain activity readings from across the ship. The displays showed dozens of Aurelian crew members with neural patterns similar to what Taewon had seen in Nev. 47 of our crew have now experienced what you call sleep. When they wake, they display emotional behaviors that are unknown in our species. Some refuse to work. Others ask questions about the meaning of their tasks instead of simply performing them. Several have requested to be alone, which goes against our fundamental nature. They are learning to be individuals, said Ha-eun softly. Is this harmful to them? Asked another council member. Taewon studied the brain scans carefully. Physically, they appear to be healthy, but psychologically, they are going through massive changes. They are experiencing emotions and individual thoughts for the first time. Can you reverse it? I do not think so. And I am not sure you would want to. Council Leader Miv's skin patterns darkened. Explain. Your crew members are not becoming damaged or sick. They are becoming more complete. They are gaining abilities that could benefit your entire species. Such as? Jiho stepped forward. I have been talking with some of the affected crew members. They are showing increased creativity, empathy, and problem-solving abilities. One of them composed what can only be called poetry. Another designed a more efficient power routing system by imagining how energy might want to flow. Want to flow? Asked Miv. Energy does not want anything. That is exactly the kind of thinking that dreams and emotions make possible, said Taewon. The ability to imagine, to empathize, to think beyond pure logic. A new alarm sounded through the ship. One of the conscious Aurelian crew members reported, Council Leader, we have a problem. The affected crew members are gathering in the observation deck. They are refusing to return to their duties. Miv moved quickly toward the exit. Show us. When they reached the observation deck, Taewon was amazed by what he saw. Nearly 50 Aurelians were standing together, looking out at the stars. But they were not standing in their usual ordered formations. They were clustered in small groups, some sitting, some standing close together in ways that seemed almost human. And in the center of the group sat Nev. When Nev saw Taewon, he stood and walked over. His movements were different now, more fluid and expressive. His skin pattern showed colors Taewon had never seen before. "Dr. Kim, you have come at the perfect time. We are discussing what we have learned from our dreams." "What have you learned?" asked Council Leader Miv. Another Aurelian, one Taewon did not recognize, spoke up. "We have learned that existence has meaning beyond function. We have learned that individual experience matters. We have learned that feelings give context to thoughts." "These are dangerous ideas," said Miv. "Are they?" asked Nev. "Or are they the ideas we needed to grow beyond what we have always been?" An older Aurelian approached the group. "I am Science Leader Dor. I have been observing the affected crew members for 2 days. Their brain function has not decreased. In many ways it has improved. They show increased pattern recognition, enhanced memory formation, and superior creative problem solving. But they refuse to follow orders," said Miv. "They question orders," corrected Nev. "They want to understand the purpose behind tasks instead of blindly performing them. This makes them better workers, not worse ones." Haun whispered to Taewon, "Look at how they are standing together. They are forming relationships, friendships." Taewon nodded. The dreaming Aurelians were displaying behaviors he had never seen in their species. They touched each other for comfort, stood closer together, and seemed to be enjoying each other's company rather than simply coordinating tasks. "Council Leader Miv," said Taewon, "your crew members are not broken. They are evolving. The question is whether your species will accept this evolution or fight against it. And if we fight against it, then you will lose some of your people forever, because I do not believe they can go back to the way they were before, nor would they want to." Nev walked over to stand beside Taewon. "Dr. Kim is correct. We have experienced something beautiful and meaningful. We would rather face exile than lose the ability to dream." Several other Aurelians nodded in agreement. Council Leader Miv looked around at his transformed crew members. For the first time since Taewon had met him, the alien leader seemed uncertain. "We need time to consider this situation," Miv said finally. "Dr. Kim, will you help us understand what our people have become? Only if you promise not to try to force them back to what they were before." After a long pause, Miv agreed. "We will learn about dreams before we make any decisions about dreamers." As the council members left, Taewon remained with the group of dreaming Aurelians. They gathered around him, eager to share their experiences and ask questions about human E. 6 months had passed since the solar flare trapped the humans aboard the Aurelian mothership. What was supposed to be a brief diplomatic visit had become the most important event in the history of both species. Taewon stood in the observation deck watching Earth grow larger through the massive viewing window. The Aurelian ship was finally returning to Earth's orbit, but everything had changed. He was no longer just a sleep researcher. He had become a bridge between two different forms of consciousness. Beside him stood Nev, who looked very different from the formal ambassador Taewon had first met. The alien skin patterns now moved in warm, flowing colors that reminded Taewon of gentle ocean waves. More importantly, Nev's posture and movements had become more expressive, more individual. "Are you ready to see your home again?" asked Nev. "Yes and no," said Taewon. "I am excited to return, but I will miss this place. I will miss working with all of you." "You do not have to miss us," said Nev with what had become his version of a smile. "We have much to discuss with your people." Over the past months, the situation aboard the Aurelian ship had changed completely. The dream epidemic had spread to over 300 crew members, nearly half the ship's population. But instead of chaos, it had brought growth. The dreaming Aurelians had formed the first friendships in their species' history, They had created art, music, and poetry. Most importantly, they had begun to question the rigid structure of their society in ways that led to positive changes. Science leader Dor approached them, carrying a data tablet filled with research notes. She was one of the first Aurelians to voluntarily expose herself to human dream patterns after seeing the positive changes in others. Dr. Kim, the final reports are ready for presentation to Earth's government, she said. The results are remarkable. Tell me again, said Taiwan, though he had heard the results many times. The dreaming Aurelians show increased creativity by 400%, improved problem-solving abilities by 200%, and enhanced emotional intelligence beyond any measurement we previously had. Most significantly, they have developed individual personalities and personal relationships. And the non-dreamers? They are beginning to request exposure to human dream patterns. Even Council Leader Miv has agreed to participate in controlled experiments. This was the most surprising development of all. After months of observing the dreaming Aurelians, the traditional leadership had realized that the changes were not harmful, but beneficial. The dreamers were better workers, more innovative thinkers, and happier individuals. Ha Yun joined their group, followed by Ji Ho and several other human scientists. The communication array is ready, she announced. Earth is prepared to receive our transmission. Are you sure about this? Asked Taiwan. Once we tell Earth what we have discovered, there will be no going back. There is already no going back, said Nev. We have learned too much to pretend it never happened. Besides, we have something wonderful to offer humanity. They moved to the main communication center, where both human and Aurelian scientists had worked together to prepare the most important message in history. Captain Suho Kang activated the transmission system. Earth Control, this is Captain Kang, aboard the Aurelian mothership. We are ready to present our findings. The response came quickly. Captain Kang, this is Director Lee at Seoul Space Command. The entire world is waiting to hear from you. Please proceed. Taiwan took a deep breath and began. 6 months ago, we came here to study the differences between human and Aurelian consciousness. What we discovered is that those differences complement each other in ways we never imagined. He explained how human dreams could be shared with aliens, how this sharing had created new forms of consciousness, and how it had transformed Aurelian society for the better. The implications are extraordinary, continued Taiwan. We have learned that consciousness is not fixed. It can grow, change, and improve through connection with others. The Aurelians have gained the ability to dream, to feel emotions, and to form individual relationships. In return, humans who participate in the sharing process gain access to Aurelian logic patterns, enhanced memory, and their collective knowledge. Council Leader Miv stepped forward. People of Earth, I am speaking to you as someone who has recently learned to dream. For thousands of years, my species believed that logical thought was the highest form of consciousness. We were wrong. Miv's skin pattern showed colors that conveyed sincerity and hope. Dreams have taught us that logic without emotion is incomplete. Knowledge without empathy is hollow. We wish to share our technology and scientific advances with humanity, not as payment for what you have given us, but because we now understand that all conscious beings are connected. The response from Earth was immediate and excited. Questions flooded in from scientists, governments, and citizens around the world. Dr. Ha Yun explained the medical aspects. The dream-sharing process appears to be completely safe. Both species benefit from the neural connection. Humans gain enhanced cognitive abilities, while Aurelians develop emotional depth and creativity. What about long-term effects? Asked a voice from Earth. The changes appear to be permanent, said Ha-un, but they are positive changes. Both species become more complete versions of themselves. Ji-ho stepped forward to address cultural concerns. We have developed translation protocols that allow for better understanding between our species. The dreaming Aurelians have created new words to describe emotions they never experienced before. They are teaching us about concepts we had no language for. What happens next? Asked another voice from Earth. Nev answered this question. We propose a new form of cooperation. Aurelian scientists will work with human researchers to better understand consciousness itself. We will share our knowledge of space travel, energy systems, and advanced materials. In return, we ask only that humans help us continue to explore the possibilities of shared dreaming. We are also proposing cultural exchange programs, added science leader Dor. Humans who wish to experience Aurelian thought patterns, and Aurelians who wish to learn about human emotions, can participate in controlled sharing sessions. The conversation with Earth continued for hours. Taiwan answered questions about the scientific process, while Nev and other Aurelians described their personal transformations. As the transmission ended, Taiwan realized how much his own life had changed. 6 months ago, he had been a researcher studying sleep. Now he was part of a revolution in consciousness that would affect both species forever. "What are you thinking about?" asked Nev. "I am thinking about how none of this would have happened, if not for that solar flare that trapped us together." "Perhaps it was not an accident," said Nev. "Perhaps the universe wanted us to find each other." "Do you really believe that?" "I believe that some connections are too important to be left to chance. When I first shared your dreams, I experienced something I had no words for. Now I know it was hope." Over the following weeks, as the Aurelian ship prepared to establish a permanent research station near Earth, Taiwan worked with both species to plan the future. The dream-sharing technology would be made available to volunteers from both worlds. Cultural exchange programs would begin within the year. Most importantly, a new form of consciousness was emerging, neither purely human nor purely Aurelian, but something greater than either species alone. On the day before the first group of human volunteers was scheduled to board Aurelian ships for extended dream-sharing missions, Nev approached Taiwan with a special request. "Dr. Kim, I want you to be the first human to experience our new collective consciousness. The dreaming Aurelians have developed a way to share not just individual dreams, but the combined dreams of our entire group. What would that be like? Imagine experiencing the thoughts and emotions of 300 beings simultaneously. Imagine having access to knowledge and perspectives beyond what any single mind could contain." Taiwan considered the offer. It would be another step into the unknown, another risk, another transformation. "Will I still be myself afterward?" "You will be yourself, but more complete. You will carry part of us with you, just as we now carry part of humanity with us." That night, Taiwan lay down in the special chamber the Aurelians had constructed for advanced dream sharing. Around him, 300 dreaming aliens focused their consciousness toward him. As he fell asleep, Taiwan felt his mind expanding beyond its normal boundaries. He experienced the memories of an entire species, felt the emotions of beings he had never met, and understood concepts that human language had no words for. When he woke, tears were flowing down his face, but they were tears of joy. He had dreamed with the stars themselves. As Taiwan looked out at Earth through the viewing window, he realized that humanity and the Aurelians were no longer two separate species learning about each other. They were becoming something new together. The age of shared consciousness had begun, and it had all started with a simple question. What would it be like to never dream? Now, they would never have to find out.